Hey there, Simone here, as always, with some ideas and insights what to pay attention to when you are growing and scaling your business. Look, I mean, all we're talking about is systems, structure, strategies, and of course mindset with that, but that is it over and over and over. You got to have the best mindset and the best structures so that you can actually do that. And of course, that includes building a high performance team. So, you know, when you think about how do you ever get the best players on your team and then the best team performance, which is not necessarily the same thing. Well, you want to kind of look at sports because you know the top performers, the top athletes, they never stop training. So when you want high performance employees, it's the same thing. You never stop training. So this goes way beyond onboarding, which is kind of what everybody thinks about when I say training, or, you know, training in between here and there, you know, once in a while, a brown bag lunch. You know, I'm talking about having a structure that means you never stop training, and that is a part of your everyday life. So right now, I invite you to think about, you know, you might want to, if you're watching this video later, if you're listening to this recording later, pause it and write this down. What are the gaps that your employees have right now? So go through every single employee and write down what gaps you think they have right now. Once you've done that, I want you to answer this question. Can you personally fix it? Or if you are not the one who is leading them, if they have another leader, can they fix it? Because the question really is like, if you have employees, if you have team members with gaps, we have to fix the gaps or they're not the right fit. So if you can't, then who can? So hopefully that means you have somebody on the team who can help them have the training that they need, or you can. Now, when you look at bigger corporations, bigger companies where you have an actual executive team, this is something that happens quite often. So young talent gets hired, they're incredible in their way of thinking, but they don't necessarily have the business experience. So that's a big gap. Talent alone doesn't really move the needle. We need to make sure that we have talent, experience, strategy, and leadership all lined up. And that's the same even if you have a small company with 3 or 4 people. So what happens in that scenario is if you are a good leader and you can't help them fix it because it's past your pay grade, past your experience level, you find them somebody who can. So that's what mentorships are for. A mentor is a very, very important ingredient to you being successful in business. You need to have a mentor, and that also means your top level team members need to have mentors, whether that's you, somebody on your team, or somebody outside your team. So mentorship, you can't get better than that. So we make sure that every single team member is, when they have gaps, that those gaps get addressed. And what we also need to make sure is that this conversation happens on every single level of your company. So when you're thinking about this, it's like if it's just you and a few employees, well, you need to have that conversation with them. But if it's you and then a number 2 or an executive level team and then a bunch of other layers, every single layer of leadership needs to have that conversation with their teams, give them the training that they need, and make sure that whoever is leading teams below them, or groups, crews, whatever you want to call it, that they have those same conversations over and over, so that your company has a structure of training that goes from top to bottom. Everybody gets the training that they need so they consistently can contribute to the company at a higher level. And you need a structure and you need a system for that. So, you know, it's everybody knows this, and it's easy. Sometimes I think it's easier for people to accept that their people aren't where they are and that they have gaps, and just kind of surrender to that place and kind of complain about it. But what we really need at this point is to look at what it's costing you, because when you have team members with gaps, what is that costing you? What is it taking away from the business? What opportunities is this costing you? What sanity and bandwidth and time is it costing you? So we need to always look at the cost, because that cost might light a fire under your butt to make sure that you put in the extra effort that it's going to take to implement this training culture. I'm going to call it that for a reason. You know, everybody knows that we need to keep growing, we need to keep getting better, but it doesn't happen out of the blue. It doesn't happen from nothing. So we need to do way more than onboarding. I mean, most good organized companies at least have a good onboarding plan. So when people come on board, that they need to get trained for the skill levels they need to have. They need to get the right culture training. They need to get the right business training at the level they're at, so that they can contribute to the company goals. And those are really important. Yes, skill level is one thing, culture level is another thing, and then business. Every single employee you have needs to have the business training so that they can contribute at the highest level for their role. Okay, so we cannot ever separate those three. So, okay, so you have your 30, 60, 90-day plan with clear deliverables, clear expectations, clear metrics. And then what? That can't be it. This is really just where your investment in them is starting. Because what we really need here is we need to make sure that this keeps going forward. Like I said, that it's something that you never stop with. It's all right. One thing I forgot to do here. So this never gets stopped. And one of the things that we want to make sure is that the foundation for your training is a great collaborative plan, because that's what you give feedback on. So when somebody has gaps, you're going to notice this in their performance, so you can tie it to specifics in terms of their performance plan that we can then take and actually give feedback and improve. So we got to keep training them, keep adjusting them. And also, we also need to pay attention to, are they in the right seat? Because sometimes people get hired on for one reason and then they turn out to be much better over here, or there's something you can add over there. So do they have the right seat on the bus is also the question that you always need to ask. So this is a lot more than just investing in their first 30 days. This is investing into them over their entire career. Now, what I said early on is training can't just be this event. Like, oh, we're going to have training every first Monday at 3:00. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when training becomes a routine that everybody is bought into and that everybody contributes to and buys into, because it happens monthly, weekly, daily as part of their business routine. So one of those really important tools is what we call the one-on-one-on-ones. It's having one-on-ones every week. And when you do that once a month, at least, you want to ask the question, what's new? What do you see as opportunities? Where are you challenged? Where can I help? Where can I provide resources? This is really where you have the conversation that makes them grow. So this is your growth conversation that you have with your team members on a regular basis. So you want to ask, first question in one of those one-on-one-on-ones is, what do you need from me? What can I do that will help you improve your performance? So what do you need from me? And then you want to ask them, what is it that you think you need? Right? Because you want to see their perspective you might have your own perspective for where they're failing or lacking, but you want to hear what their perspective is for where they're lacking. So this is kind of the two questions that we have to ask always, like, what do you need? And then what is it that you think that you need so that we can help you improve? And you want to think about this for every single person on the team, and you want to have that conversation with every single person on the team. So to kind of prepare you for this conversation and to prepare for this action, this means we have to look at every single role and get really clear about the goals and expectations for every single role. So the first question is, what are the 3 to 5 KPIs that this person is responsible for. And then the question right after that is, how are we tracking these KPIs accurately? Because if you don't know how to measure something, are you measuring the right thing? So that's always a really important question to ask. So what are the 3 to 5 KPIs, and how do we track them? And then once we look at that and we compare it with the existing performance, the question is, okay, what training does this person in this role need so that they can achieve these goals? So that's kind of the beginning, how you prepare, how you look at your team, how you evaluate every single person on your team. And asking those questions will really help you dial in your goals and expectations for every single team member. And again, this is on you if you're flat, if it's just you and your people. But if you have a structured organizations with leadership levels, this conversation needs to be had at every single level of your company so we can create leaders at every level. And that's the only way you'll ever create a self-managing company, which is what pretty sure all of you want. So once we've done that, we need to nail the details. And this is really, really important because you may already have some pretty good team members. Now, the details, nailing the details and getting very specific about the details will help them go from good to great. So when you think about the 8+ players, what they do is they look at everything that's already working and they take tiny steps to make it even better, to get it right. So we want to make sure that they evaluate each process they're responsible for in detail, and that they make small adjustments to the process wherever they can, and have that discussion with you so you can help them dial that in so that they can up the percentages. You know, it could be something super simple. If you have somebody who is customer facing, you know, does everybody smile and say hi when somebody comes in? Do they make people comfortable the second they walk through the door? You know, does every person in every role have a checklist of things they cannot miss? And is that checklist regularly used and updated? Do they know the right questions to ask? I mean, especially if you have sales teams, do they really understand the customer? Do they know what questions to ask that will help the customer understand what they need? So all of those pieces are small details, but they're really, really important. So you want every single person on your team to do a process review where they evaluate their performance. Where can they do better? You know, where is it already good and where can it be better? That's the question they always want to ask. And you want to look at who is the best person. Like if you're looking within a team, right? This is kind of awesome because now if there's a team of whatever, 3 people or 5 people who are responsible for the same outcomes, the same deliverables, well, you want to ask yourself who's best in that team, who has this kind of mindset. And sometimes you have, you know, some people who are good on the first 2 KPIs, but not the third through the 5th, and somebody else is good at the opposite ones. So you want to pair up the people who with opposite skill sets, with opposite results, so that they can discuss, you know, what works, what doesn't work, give each other some insights and training that they can share. So this makes it not on you, but you're using your people who are already good to make the other ones even better. And look, I mean, all these processes are super important, but what's even more important is then doing this stuff is the mindset that comes with this, because doing the right thing, yes, super, super important. But being in the right mindset when you're doing the right thing is what takes it to the highest performance possible. So especially when the going gets tough, you need to be in the right mindset when you're doing something, because otherwise you're going to make decisions based on limitations versus decisions made on opportunity and outlook. And those are always the much, much, much better decisions. So we always want to work on the mental game. When you look at high-level sports performers, high-level athletes, they always work on their mental game. If they get injured, they sit there and review their performances over and over and over to identify what's working, what's not working, and where they can make the small adjustments that will take them to the top. It's not all about doing. So what you want to train on always, well, all the stuff we already talked about, and then you want to train on everybody having an elevated mindset. And here's where your leadership systems come into place. And look, systems are not a bunch of tools that you stick together. A system is where all the pieces fit together like a puzzle without gaps. Everything builds on each other, and you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. So you want to have a system, a leadership system in place that helps people always be connected to the vision and to the purpose and to the impact that they're creating, because that helps them to disconnect from their own personal sob story and get back in the game and drive for impact and purpose. We can't ever let go of that piece to create high-level results. We want to make sure that they're always in the mindset to where they're helping one another win, where it's a culture, where it's a community. And this is not just peer related. This is also customer related and leadership related, where everybody is focused on how do my actions impact another person. So we want to make sure we set people up that they're always helping one another win. And part of that piece is being accountable, doing what you say you will. And if you can't, making sure that everybody gets in on that and understands what needs to be changed because of whatever situation created. But that is what being accountable means, is making sure that everybody gets what they need from you no matter what happens. And then, of course, we have to take responsibility for outcomes. And, this is when things go wrong, nobody wants to admit to mistakes, but having a team of people who is focused on vision and impact and purpose, who helps one another win, who thrives on accountability, deeply believes on accountability, and then they take responsibility for the mistakes they make, so that it's not something you find out when it's happening, but it's something that they're already fixing the second that they know it's happening, and they only come to you if they can't. Then you have a team you can trust deeply. They can take the business forward for you without you being in the driver's seat. So this is also that builds a culture of accountability and positivity, which is the only culture you can really scale and grow and take to the next level. So I hope this helps. We have a brand new training out there that discusses all this in detail. Go to bulletproofbusinessgrowth.com/leap, bulletproofbusinessgrowth.com/leap, or click on the link somewhere around this video and check out the free training. So I wish you a fantastic week, and I will see you next time.